Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network. And of course, you can always hear the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network on Spreaker.com, that's live, as well as on iHeartRadio.com, Stitcher.com, and TuneIn.com. And of course, we have some big content for you this week, as we always do. And you can listen to all the great interviews we've had, as far as live shows, live podcast, broadcasts, as well as our news and notes every week right here on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. And this week we're going to talk about the big card that took place this past Saturday in front of almost 15,000 people, a sellout crowd at the Royal Farms Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. We'll talk about that great card featuring the main event, Gervonta Tank Davis taking on Ricardo Nunez. We'll also preview the Friday, August 2nd card. That'll be the Jetta Promotions card at Live Casino in Hanover, Maryland. And we have some updates on some other cards that have taken place and will take place. And we'll talk about two of our local amateurs competing in the Pan American Games in Lima, Peru this week. Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network is brought to you by Real-Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain and to muscle strain and everything in between, Boxing Along the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. You go to freepainoffer.com, you buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief, you get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. And we're brought to you by DeborahSpears.com. She has great weight loss tips and a book that talks about lean expert secrets. And without dieting, eating real food along the way. She also has great jewelry as well as some training methods that she has on her site. So go to Deborah, that's DEBRA Spears.com. And don't forget also on the Box on Beltway blogspot.com on the blog, which by the way celebrates its 14th anniversary this year. 14th anniversary this year for the blog. Today, as a matter of fact, we record this. We started it on July 31st of 2006. So, tell me the 14th anniversary. Actually, 2005. So, great to hear that. And don't forget to go on the Best Buy and Amazon pages to buy your items from the Box on Beltway blogspot.com. And also, don't forget that you can always find me on Twitter at Digital25. Now, last Saturday was kind of an interesting day because normally, Juan Marshall returned to boxing coverage this week, and we're good to see that as always. And normally, Juan and I would have had a post-fight wrap-up show immediately following the Saturday, July 27th card at Royal Farms Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. Great sellout crowd for the card, almost 15,000 people, as we said. However, I was not one of the people in the crowd. I was not one of the people there. I had some issues with my credentials, and I don't know where it came from. Now, here's the situation. Normally, for our club shows here in the area, through my long time work with Beltway Boxing, I usually get carte blanche to any card club show in the Beltway area. So they know me, they let me in, they know what I do. However, for the bigger shows, the big TV shows and the World Championship fights, I go through the other side of my boxing writing, which is FightNews.com. And I've been working at FightNews.com for about 20 years now. And I normally go through Fight News to get credentials for the bigger shows. Now, for some reason, though, Mayweather Promotions, who handled the credentials, not Swanson Communications, they're normally their PR firm. And of course, I've known Kelly Swanson almost 20-some years myself. And she's out of D.C. But for some reason, Mayweather Promotions handled the press. And I don't know if they didn't know who I was or whether or not my people at Fight News got in the credentials in too late. Whatever it was, they could not accommodate me. And then by the time they said they could accommodate me, they did say there was an oversight on their part. They did, Mayweather Promotions said it was an oversight on their part. And by that time, the card had already started. There was no reason for me to drive all the way to Baltimore to the card. So I didn't go. So there was no post-fight wrap-up show. So what I'm doing with this one is really recapping the card from the Beltway standpoint. None of the other cards, although one bout on the card. Seems to be pretty interesting going forward, but given what happened with the way it went. But be as may. Here we go. Start with our main event, of course, and Gervonta Tank Davis. Oh, he put on a great show. Second round TKO over mandatory challenger Ricardo Nunez of La Chorrera, Panama. He successfully defended his Davis successfully defended his WBA super featherweight title. Now, the second round, Davis rocked Nunez with a left hand that snapped his head against the ropes, and Davis finished with hard shots that forced referee Harvey Dock to stop the contest at 133 of the second round. Nunez complained about the stoppage to no avail. Now, let me say something real quick, and it happened in another bout later on in the evening. Because of the situation that took place the previous week with Maxim Dadashev and his passing, I think Maryland, I won't say they overreacted. I don't think that's true. I just think they reacted in a different way, and I think they expressed upon the referees who were there, and that was mostly Harvey Dock, Bill Clancy, Brent Bovell, and Dave Braslow, to really, as soon as somebody gets hurt, they're going to stop it. I think that's going to be the way going forward, at least for the time being. And again, and just on a side note, you cannot complain about that, because if you complain about it, you want it both ways. You don't want to see what happened to Maxim Dadashev and also to Hugo Santillan a little bit later on in the week. He passed away as well. But you can't complain when an bout is stopped too early. I mean, you can say, oh, maybe it should have gone a little long, but you can't complain about it. You really can't. So that's what I said. So again, Harvey Dock stopped that contest 133 in the second round. Davis's second defense of the WBA title, and he scored his 13th consecutive knockout. Davis is now 22-0, 21 KOs. Nunez falls to 21-3, 19 KOs. He's ranked second in the world by the WBA going into this bout. Now, again, a lot of people did a lot of avenues Davis can go. They're talking about him and a guy who won the co-feature bout on the card, Yuriorkis Gamboa, who knocked out Rocky Martinez, a brilliant knockout there. They're talking about he and Gamboa hooking it up. That might be a good bout, in all honesty. On the same night, by the way, Tevin Farmer defended his IBF version of the super featherweight title. They're talking now about, I just read this just before we went on the air today. They're talking about Tevin Farmer and Jojo Diaz will be moving up to super featherweight. Remember, Jojo Diaz lost a bid for the WBC featherweight championship against Gary Russell Jr. Last year. So, you know, they're talking about those two. Why they're not talking about Farmer taking on Davis, which is what the bout they both seem to want. Both Davis and Farmer seem to want the bout. Right now, they're not talking about that. It's just strictly, right now, Davis and Gamboa and Farmer and Jojo Diaz. So maybe because they're from different emotional situations and their emotional situations don't get along. Again, a lot of politics in this business. No question about that. But Gervonta Davis with another dominant win. No question about that. Undefeated Baltimore super lightweight Malik Iceman Hawkins won an 8-round unanimous decision over a very game Jonathan Steele of Duncanville, Texas. Now, Hawkins did take some early shots in the first round. Steele landed some solid shots. But Hawkins righted the ship early. He was able to use his punishing uppercuts. He had some beautiful shots there. And left jabs. He won the bout relatively easily. Judge Lynn Carter scored about 78-74. Judges Dave Moretti and Larry Hazard Jr. each saw about 79-73 for Hawkins. Hawkins remains undefeated. He's 16-0, 9 KOs. And Steele falls to 9-5-1, 6 KOs. Also, good performance by Kareem Remo Martin out of Washington, D.C. He's now training in Baltimore. He trains at the same gym where Davis and Hawkins and another boxer we'll talk about in just a moment, Malik Warren, all trained at the Upton Boxing Gym in Baltimore. And Martin hammered Luis Avila of Mexico over 3 rounds, again a TKO stoppage. Avila could not come out for the 4th round. Now, Martin started his attack early with solid left and rights. Avila had no defense but to take punches throughout the contest. At the end of the 3rd round, Avila's corner told referee Harvey Dock the fight was over. And so Martin has bounced back from his couple of losses. He's now won 4 in a row. He's now 13-2-1, 4 KOs. Avila falls to 8-14-3. And in the walkout bout, Baltimore, Maryland lightweight Malik the King, Warren, made a successful pro debut. He scored a first-round TKO over Devontae McCowan of Lancaster, California. Warren now took some shots early on, but he was able to land more telling blows before referee David Braslow stopped the bout at 2:57 of the first round. McCowan is now 0-1-1. Also, we got to say congratulations to Brent Bovell, who got on TV in the first bout on the Showtime Championship telecast. So he did perform very well in that contest. So that's the Beltway portion of the Davis-Nunez Mayweather Promotions TGB Promotions card that took place this past Saturday at Royal Farms Arena in Baltimore. Again, a great crowd on hand for that one. Now, before we get to the preview of August 2nd, I mentioned a car about that I just found out about recently, and is a big win, actually, for a young man by the name of James Too Slick Early. He's out of Seat Pleasant, Maryland, and he won a 6-round unanimous decision on Friday, July 26th, against Anthony Sanchez. Now, Anthony Sanchez going in was 9-0-1, but James Early beat him. He won by scores of 59-55 and twice and 58-56. Big win for James Early. He's now 4-3 with no KOs. 4-3 on his career, but a big win, especially coming off a loss he had against an undefeated boxer named Ricky De Los Santos back in May of 2018. That was his first bout since May of 2018. And he came out and fought very, very well. He's fought really some good people, with the exception of his first two bouts were against one boxer who was 1-15-2 and another boxer who was 0-5. Everybody else he's fought, James Early has fought, has been well over 500. He's fought a couple undefeated boxers. He's beaten another undefeated boxer in Joshua Draughter. That was on April 2018 in Sarasota, Florida. Won a majority decision, 6-round majority decision there. Ricky De Los Santos was undefeated going into that bout, and Anthony Sanchez was as well. But again, a great win for James Too Slick Early. Once again, he is now 4-3. So congratulations to him. Now let's move on and talk about the Friday, August 2nd card. That'll be at Live Casino in Hanover, Maryland. That's the Jetta Promotions card. And once again, congratulations to Tony and Kristen Jetta, who just had a little baby girl come into their life. So congratulations to them. I believe it's their second child. So congratulations to them. And we look forward to seeing them on Friday. I will be there Friday, August 2nd at Live Casino in Hanover, Maryland. Now, we talked about a few weeks ago that the main event of the card would be an 8-round bout between Catonsville, Maryland cruiserweight Luther Lighthouse Smith and Steven Superman Buju of New York City by way of Albania. Now, Smith is 11-4, 9 KOs. He broke a 2-bout losing streak by winning a 6-round split decision over Joshua Temple on December 8th, and that was at the A.C. Jordan Arena at Bowie State University in Bowie, Maryland. Buju is 16-2-1, 11 KOs, and he'll be looking to break a 2-bout losing streak, and he has not fought since October of 2017 when he was stopped by Matus Masternak in the 7th round in Newark, New Jersey. Buju makes his second appearance in the Beltway. He won a 6-round unanimous decision over Larry Pryor back in January of 2016 in Springfield, Virginia, the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia. I believe we had that card on Box on the Beltway Podcast Network. So that's going to be an interesting bout for him for Smith, because he could use another good win. He needs a really good win. He's 11-4, 9 KOs, as I said. But he needs a good win to really step out a little bit. And this will be a good one against Steven Buju if he can get that out. Now, the card is also scheduled to mark return of Washington, D.C. super middleweight, the King's son, Jerry Odom. And he'll take on Tahir Thomas out of Salisbury, Maryland, and that bout scheduled for 6 rounds. Now, Odom has recently relocated to Covington, Georgia, and his record is 15-3-1, 14 KOs. Of course, he had some his losses, he only had 3 of them, but all of them were really, except for one loss he had by disqualification. But the other 2 losses he had were really brutal losses. He got knocked out in both of them. So this will be an interesting bout against Tahir Thomas. Now, Odom did return to the ring back on November 3rd of last year. He scored a 4th-round TKO over Ruddy Sanchez in the Dominican Republic. That was his first bout since November of 2016. Thomas, meanwhile, is 4-1-1, 3 KOs, and he hasn't competed since January of 2017. He lost a 6-round unanimous decision to Donald Wallace. That was at Michael's 8th Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland. We had that bout on the Box on Beltway Podcast Network as well. So that should be interesting. Jerry Odom taking on Tahir Thomas. That'll be the co-feature bout on the Jetta Promotions card on Friday, August 2nd. In the 6th-round featherweight bout, Jordan Short Dog White of D.C., he'll take on Vincent Jennings of Kentwood, Michigan. White is 8-1, 6 KOs, coming off a 6-round unanimous decision to Kristen Esquivel. That was on May 18th in D.C. I believe it's at the Entertainment Sports Arena in Washington, D.C. Jennings is 6-8-2, 4 KOs. He'll try to break a 3-bout losing streak, including losing an 8-round unanimous decision loss to Oleg Dovun. That was on July 13th in Munhall, Pennsylvania. Now, this bout coming up, and we're talking about White and Jennings, going to be a good bout as well. But this bout should be very interesting, and I'm kind of hesitating as to why this bout is taking place. But there are a lot of interesting things about it. This will be a 6-round super featherweight bout, an all beltweight bout between Germantown, Maryland's Ibrahima Jawara. He'll take on returning Mark the Monster Johns of Fort Washington, Maryland. Jawara is just 1-1, 1 KO. He bounced back losing his pro debut. That was against Malik Lofton. That was at the last card at Live Casino on March 8th. He won his pro debut. He won his second bout against Damian Campbell. He stopped him in the second round on April 27th at Tyson's Playground in Vienna, Virginia. John, meanwhile, is 7-1-2, 6 KOs. He hasn't fought since March of 2017 when he battled to a 4-round draw for the second time with Stefan McIntyre. That was in D.C. at Entertainment Sports Arena as well. That's going to be an interesting situation there. Jawara has only fought twice. Again, he's 1-1. This will be his first 6-round bout. He's a guy who's been in some 6-round bouts before, and I'm a little concerned about this one. This will be interesting to see what happens. So that's Ibrahima Jawara of Germantown taking on Mark Johns of Fort Washington, Maryland by way of Philadelphia, and that'll be scheduled for 6 rounds. And that should be probably one of the key bouts of that night. Speaking of Malik Lofton, he'll be in a contest scheduled for 4 rounds. He's out of Suitland, Maryland. He's a featherweight. He'll be in a 4-round contest, we said, against Carlos Talented Marrero of New Britain, Connecticut. Lofton is 2-1, 1 KO, coming off that 4-round split decision win we talked about against Jawara on the March 8th card, the Jetta Promotions card at Live Casino. Marrero is 1-2-1, picked up his first win by 4-round unanimous decision on March 15th in Worcester, Massachusetts. So it should be interesting to see what happens. Lofton against Marrero. Cockeysville, Maryland super middleweight A.J. We-Are Williams will be in a 4-round bout against Michael Brock Willis of West Virginia. Williams is 1-1, 1 KO. He was also on that March 8th card at Hanover. He scored a 3rd-round TKO over Dameron Kirby. Willis is 1-3, 1 KO, lost a 4-round unanimous decision to Nick Brown on March 30th in Salem, West Virginia. Elkridge, Maryland lightweight and Live Casino employee, the Red Comet, Donte Cox. He'll face a late substitute. This bout just announced. This opponent just announced as of yesterday. Hakim Smith out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Cox is 3-1, 2 KOs. He's going to look to bounce back from a 3rd-round TKO loss on that March 8th card to Devontae Speed Rawls on March 8th. That was a real tough loss for Cox. Speed Rawls looked great, no question about that. Meanwhile, Smith is 1-2-1, lost a 4-round unanimous decision to Justin Riley. That was on May 18th in Hockinson, Delaware. So it'll be Donte Cox against Hakim Smith. In the battle of debuting boxers, Clinton, Maryland super bantamweight Jay Stansel III battles Deshaun Wilkerson of Philadelphia. Stansel was a longtime participant in the Washington Golden Gloves tournament. He fought very well at times in that tournament as well. So we'll see what happens as the debut bout, 4-rounders in the super bantamweight division. Jay Stansel III taking on Deshaun Wilkerson. Owings Mills, Maryland lightweight Brandon Chambers takes on Fred Thornton of Shelby, North Carolina in a 4-round lightweight bout. Chambers is a Baltimore City police officer, and he battled to a 4-round draw in his pro debut against Christopher Haney on that March 8th card in Hanover. So we'll see what happens, see if he can turn that around a little bit. Thornton is 0-1, and he lost his pro debut by 1st-round knockout to Oscar Benitez on April 20th in Greensboro, North Carolina. Bowie, Maryland cruiserweight Chester Stewart, making a transition from pro football. He takes on Jerome Morris of Darby, Pennsylvania by way of Trinidad and Tobago. That bout also scheduled for 4 rounds. Stewart lost his pro debut by 3rd-round TKO to Upper Marlboro, Maryland's Charles Johnson on the August 18th card at Live Casino. Of course, that was the card that was voted the Beltway Boxing Card of the Year last year. Morris, meanwhile, is 1-0, 1 KO. He won his pro debut. He beat another Beltway boxer, making his pro debut, Brian Henslager. That was in the first round TKO on March 30th in Hawkins, Delaware at the Powell Center. So Chester Stewart takes on Jerome Morris. And Ellicott City, Maryland welterweight champ Moultrie makes his pro debut against Corey Weekly of Philadelphia. Moultrie also competed in the Washington Golden Gloves in both the novice and open divisions over the last few years. Meanwhile, Weekly is 0-2, losing both his bouts by 4-round unanimous decision. So that is the card for Friday, August 2nd at the Live Casino in Hanover, Maryland, the Gerald Promotions card. Now, normally we would have a broadcast, but we have been asked to work with WBGR Sports and doing their live stream. So we're going to work, Juan Marsh and I will work with them on that. We'll alternate a little bit. But of course, Juan and I will have our post-up episode show immediately following the card as we usually do. We didn't do it last week, of course, but we will be there this week to do that. So that'll be Friday, August 2nd at Live Casino in Hanover, Maryland. Hope you can make that. Should be a good card. No question about that. Now let's go to the amateurs real quickly, because we have two amateur boxers who are competing in the Pan American Games. That's taking place in Lima, Peru this week. And actually, one is advanced to the final, and the other has lost a semifinal bout yesterday, Tuesday. The young man that has advanced to the final is Keyshawn Davis, a light heavyweight, originally from Norfolk, Virginia, now fighting out of Alexandria, Virginia. He advanced but with a 5-0 decision over Michael Alexander of Trinidad and Tobago. And I had a chance to see this bout. And boy, Keyshawn Davis looked good. He was really on top of his game. Both he and Troy Isley are great boxers. And, Isley sometimes doesn't do well in the big bouts. We'll talk about him in just a moment. But Keyshawn Davis looked awesome. He really is. He may be another one of those boxers like Lorenzo Truck Simpson, like Mike Reed was, where when he turns pro, the world better look out. But Keyshawn Davis looked very good in that bout. So he'll fight in the finals on Friday, August 2nd. Meanwhile, middleweight Troy Isley, he lost a 4-1 decision to Herbert Carvalho da Cancique of Brazil in the semifinals. So Troy Isley gets a bronze medal. The worst Keyshawn Davis can do is get a silver. But we're hoping he gets the gold coming up on Saturday. That should be great. On Friday, I should say. So it'd be great to see what happens there. So, again, another big week for us in Beltway boxing. And coming up later on this year, we have another big bout. We're going to talk about that week. But we didn't get a chance. I don't think we've talked about this because this came out just this past week. But it looks like we have another boxer that will be contending for a world title in the Beltway coming up. And that is Lamont Roach Jr., the Upper Marlboro, Maryland super featherweight. He is the ranked number 1 rated challenger in the World Boxing Organization. And he will get that mandatory world title defense against the newly crowned WBO champion, Jamel Simplified Herring of Cincinnati, Ohio, by way of Quorum, New York. Now, Herring knocked out Masayuki Ito. No, I'm sorry, he didn't knock him out. Excuse me. He won a 12-round unanimous decision over Masayuki Ito on May 25th in Kissimmee, Florida. That was a great bout. I haven't had a chance to actually see that bout. And really, it was a good bout. And Herring fought very, very well. He's 20-2, by the way, 10 KOs. Meanwhile, Lamont Roach Jr., 19-0-1, 7 KOs. He's coming off a successful defense of his WBO International Super Featherweight Championship. He won a 10-round unanimous decision over Jonathan Okendo. That was on May 4th in Las Vegas. And then Roach also on that bout won the NABO Super Featherweight Championship. So, again, that's November 9th. No word yet where the bout's going to be. It will be streamed on ESPN Plus. We do know that, so that may be another incentive to go see ESPN, get ESPN Plus. But I don't really want to. I can't afford it right now, in all honesty. But November 9th, that should be interesting, and hopefully, if it's possible, I don't see it happening, but you never know. That bout could take place in the Beltway and possibly at MGM National Harbor. But that's going to be a good, interesting bout. Roach is going to have a tough time with Herring. Herring looked very good. Of course, he's a 2012 Olympian. And, it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know if Roach has enough power to keep Herring off of him. So, I'm hoping I'm wrong. No question about that. I'd love to see Roach win that bout and win the world title, because he's fought very well, and he's done it I won't say relative obscurity, but there hasn't been a lot of feedback and press on him as it has been on some of the other Beltway boxers like Gary Russell Jr., Jarrett Hurd, Gervonta Davis. But Lamont Rose Jr. has been really just plugging away. And, again, Warren Marshall and I saw him from the amateurs. He won a National Golden Gloves Championship. And you just kind of knew there was something there, but you just kind of hoped the power would be there a little bit more. But, be that as it may, for him being part of the Super Featherweight Championship, and they actually have two Beltway boxers as Super Featherweight champions, because Roach will join Gervonta Davis as Super Featherweight champion. Of course, Gary Russell Jr. is right below them at Featherweight as a world champion. It would be great for the Beltway if that would take place. So we'll have to see. But we do know the date. Once again, it's Saturday, November 9th, and that'll be on ESPN+. We're just waiting for a site. Well, as soon as we get the site announced, we'll bring that to you. Well, that will do it for another edition of Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. Remember, our news and notes brought to you by Real-Time Pain Relief. And we go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com with great weight loss tips, great jewelry, and great training methods at Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Once again, we won't be live from Hanover, Maryland. Hope you'll join us there as we get ready for a big card of boxing on Friday, August 2nd at Live Casino. Till then, thanks for joining us, everybody. And always remember to keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. I'm Gary Digital Williams. Thanks for listening. Take care.